Rogers TV, Durham Region. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hey, what's good, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Players Corner with Karim Grant. I'm your host, Karim Grant. Ladies and gentlemen, today we got a special guest in studio, a good friend of mine, a three-time CFL champion, and an all-around good guy. His name is Davis Sanchez. Hey, Davis, how you doing, my brother?
Thanks for having me, yeah.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure. My pleasure is all mine, man. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Looking good.
Surrounded by championships and champions.
Yeah, you see how we do out here in Toronto, man. You know, not the same as BC, but, you know, we try to keep it copacetic.
Yeah, we're lacking on championships in the West. We have nicer weather and nicer beaches, but we're lacking on championships, man.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you the nicer beaches. You don't have too many good beaches out here, but I mean, you know what? We're coming with the weather. The weather was really hot this summer, so I mean, we're getting close.
I live about 2 blocks. Quick side note: I live about 2 blocks from the beach. I told my wife yesterday I went to the beach. I said I'm not coming back again. It's too darn hot. I was losing my mind down there.
It was a hot summer this year, man.
Good to be here, my man.
Yeah, man. It's good to have you on, man. So talk about BC a bit. Your upbringing a little bit. Where you from, man?
Yeah, I'm from the burbs. So about 45 minutes outside Vancouver, a place called North Delta.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much my sporting life and childhood. Grew up there playing and doing everything that young athletes do.
Yeah. How'd you get involved in the sport of football?
Yeah.
Was it always your passion to get into that?
Yeah, no, I was a soccer guy for most of my childhood. Basketball, just because that's what you do after school, and that's what you do, in the neighborhood. So those two things, and then really when I got to high school, my buddies were playing football.
Right.
And I was always scrappy, always, had that edge to me, feisty, and then kind of athletic. And so my boys just said, "Come play," and
nice.
And that was kind of it. And then kind of fell in love with it from there. But nah, like most kids, and I say this, and you being around, involved in youth sports, it's you always tell all the kids to play as many sports as they can. Because that's I didn't play football till I was 15, 16 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of late. That's like when I got started too. Well, how did you know you were good?
Oh, I'm good at everything I've ever done.
Excuse me.
But no, I mean,
humility is the key. I love it.
I think I knew for real when I went down south. I knew I was a good athlete. Mm-hmm. I didn't know, and I'd always, been able to figure stuff out pretty quickly. But then when I went down south and saw other guys, I came in as a 4th or 5th corner. I was a walk-on at a junior college in California.
Right.
And I knew in the first day or two that the guys that were they're good players, they're star players. I said, if I train and work out and do what they're doing, I knew right away that I could do what they were doing.
So for the kids out there, how do you go from high school to JUCO? Is that a route that you wanted to take or you had to take?
Yeah, I had to take it because my grades weren't good enough to go straight to a bigger school.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's a route for a lot of kids, and it's not the direct path,
right?
But it is a path, and you're similar. You took the similar route.
Absolutely.
And I guess for that, if you can't figure it out right away, and you're not in your grade 9 and 10 years, if you're not on that path to get into a university, which in Canada right now is really difficult. Mm-hmm. It's just for guys who are maybe maturing a little bit later or getting to focus a little bit later. Right. At least you have that opportunity. So if you're messing around in your younger years, at least you have a shot to still get to where your end goal, which we were able to figure out later than sooner.
Yeah, so you ended up going to JUCO, then you ended up at Oregon. How did that happen?
Well, that was football. As a junior college guy, you have your 2 years, and if you can get off and do what you need to do on the field, you're put in a situation with the academics and the school there, to succeed. So they surrounded me with a lot of help and support, and then I did well in the field. And then it was easy transition. You get your transfer there and got recruited there as a walk-on from junior college to a full ride athlete at Oregon. But just the commitment changed, Karim. I went from being a guy that just showed up to a guy that dedicated, pretty much every part of my life,
Right.
from when I woke up to when I went to bed, was all focused on getting a scholarship, getting to the next level, and being able to,
What's the scholarship experience like in the States? Like, how did that manifest for you?
the receiving of it, or once I was there?
Once you were there, what was the culture like there?
Yeah, business, really is. They have you from, all day, all night. They have you, and in turn they take good care of you. And I think that's kind of, the give and take that you hear a lot now about college athletes getting paid and
Right.
should they get paid. And I'm all for free enterprise and allowing guys to.
What's your thoughts on that? Would you allow guys to get paid?
Yeah.
If you were able to get paid, would you get paid?
Would you?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, but I felt like I was getting paid in education as well too.
Right.
But at the same time, you put so much of your time into that sport and that discipline, I feel like, yeah, there should be some kind of compensation, especially if they're making money off your likeness.
Well, the hundreds of millions that are made off college athletics versus the, $500 a month plus tuition. I don't think the pie is being diced up exactly fairly, but
It's not, especially in Canadian ball.
yeah. No, I mean, look, it's anybody who has the opportunity to go down and get that experience.
Right.
I think is a special experience, and for you were at a smaller school that was a college town
Right.
at Acadia.
Yeah.
I was at a small school in a small town in Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah.
And so you lived that college experience.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is,
yeah.
I think, forget about athletics. That's a special experience for anybody to get a chance to live in a city
100%.
that's just surrounded by the college. I think I want my daughters to have that experience, to live that college life, and yeah, it was great.
So by your last year, were you getting NFL looks?
No, not really. I was more of a late bloomer once again. I think I got some injuries in college. It kind of was I had to have the CFL to get to the NFL.
Wow.
Unlike you, I wasn't a physical beast or somebody who
But you had the
look
pretty
at.
face, though.
Yeah,
you had the pretty face.
Yeah. That's questionable also. But I had to get the CFL. Unfortunately for me, it's a great example of the Canadian content that people discuss in the CFL. You have to have X amount of Canadians on your team. If it wasn't for that, I would have never played in the NFL, which doesn't make a lot of sense. How am I?
That's an incredible journey, though. That's an incredible story, because a lot of folks feel like you got to go to the NFL first,
Right.
and then fall back on the CFL
Right.
if you don't make the NFL.
Yeah.
But you kind of said, I'm going to use the CFL as a springboard to
Right.
get to the NFL. So
Yeah.
fast forward a couple of years now, you do play pretty well in the CFL, and you get an opportunity to go down south.
Yeah.
Where'd you end up?
Yeah, in San Diego, a West Coast kid, so that was
Nice.
about as ideal a situation as you could hope for.
I felt like when it happened for you, I was like, oh, that's perfect for this guy.
Oh man,
That's perfect.
Loved it.
'Cause you had the curly hair flowing, everything.
Perfect for the beach,
It's
huh?
actually like your whole face is like upside down. You got the hair that you have here was on top of your head. I like it.
pretty good. Yeah, you're not wrong.
But yeah, so talk about that experience, man. So you were in the league for 2 years.
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, it was good. So leaving Montreal, like had found my way to CFL, did my thing, and then had Washington Redskins at the time looking at me, and San Diego were the two teams, Indianapolis, but the Chargers were just such a fit because of the West Coast and being close to home.
Right.
But yeah, that was a dream, my man. I mean, from a 16-year-old kid who had never played football to being just a few years later, being in the NFL, then starting in the NFL, and
Right.
my first game starting, I'm lining up against Jerry Rice and the Oakland Raiders, and so, I mean, it's
What is that experience like? Like,
yeah.
come on, that's like Jordan.
well, for Jerry Rice, it was great because he's looking at me and knowing he's going to go to work. So
He's like,
for him, it was great. For
it's
me,
like time
it was,
to eat.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it was great, and I was surrounded by Doug Flutie came in the same year,
right,
the
that's
same
right.
year as me. Doug came the same year as me. LaDainian Tomlinson got drafted the same year. Drew Brees came in, so it was a year full of transition for the
Right.
Chargers, and a lot of guys with some Canadian background and ties.
Yeah.
So it was cool, man. It was a dream.
So you know what question's gonna come next. What's the biggest difference between the NFL and the CFL?
Yeah.
Business-wise and player-wise,
Yeah.
athleticism too.
So football-wise, I say timing. Everything happened right away.
Right.
That's the one thing. And for you who's played it, you understand that there's a rhythm to things. And so I knew that as a defensive back, if you're a step slower or if your eyes are in the wrong place, the ball, it's a completion and that's what it is. And that's
right.
kind of how, whereas the CFL is a little more plays, because the field's wider, plays take time to develop and that type of stuff. So I would say timing-wise, and then from a business standpoint, it's just strictly business. And I think that it's known from your diet to your sleep to your meetings, the hours and the staff,
Right.
and what goes into the daily preparation is a direct correlation to the hundreds of millions and now billions of dollars that are involved in the NFL.
Yeah, and that check is nice.
Yeah.
And what was the first thing you bought that check?
Yeah. It's funny. I always say this. I was way more frugal when I was in the NFL, making way more money than I was when I was back in the CFL.
Isn't that crazy?
And you know why
I
it
hear
is,
that
though?
story a lot too.
Yeah, and the biggest reason why, and it's just the maturation process, but at that point, trying to show out.
Right.
When I was in the NFL, I didn't need to pop bottles or I didn't need to buy fancy cars because I was in the NFL, everybody knew what I was doing.
Right.
Versus when I came back, I wanted to let everybody know, hey, I still got it.
And this is where I've
Look-
been.
look
And
at me.
Look what I got, right?
Right. So that's just, it's kind of funny. You would think it would be the opposite.
Yeah.
When you were in the league, you would be flashing,
Yeah.
but it was opposite for me. I actually calmed down when I was there and was stacking everything.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I came back, I was Barry Big Wheel.
Yeah, I got a similar experience. I remember when I was in Atlanta for a little bit for a short cup of tea, and guys would go to the club, and the guys be throwing out their ones and doing everything, and I'd be on the like, whoa, you gonna leave it on the floor? So I'd be like trying to pull that money over. I'm like, see if anybody's watching me because I'm like, I don't know how long this is gonna last, so I gotta save my money, right?
Sure.
But I also felt like, did you get that feeling like, yo, I belong here, and this is gonna last forever?
Yeah, I was pretty comfortable.
Right.
I had a pretty good position from the day I got there. I was pretty, not secure, but I was, doing my thing. I wasn't up and down from a practice roster to a regular roster. I was active all the time, and I was always on that roster. So I felt like I was going to be there for a while. Didn't end up that way.
Yeah.
But I think everyone has a similar experience.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that transition to come back to Canada after being in NFL when we get back from commercial break. But like I said, I appreciate you being here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Davis Sanchez, former NFL and CFL player, 3-time Grey Cup champion. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
DJ Snake.
You got this.
Thank you. You can't outrun your destiny. My name is Shang-Chi.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Hey, welcome back. We're still in studio with Davis Sanchez, a 3-time Grey Cup champion and all-around great guy. Chez, we're just talking a little bit about your transition from.
Never heard anybody introduce me as a great guy, but I love it.
Well, you know, I gotta butter you up a little bit. You know, you did me a solid of doing the show, so I gotta butter you up a little bit. You
and
know
off camera, you definitely don't refer to me as that, but I appreciate it.
Well, you know, we won't talk about what happens off camera now. You know, what happens off camera stays off camera.
I got it.
So we're talking about your transition from, you know, being in NFL and coming back to the CFL now.
Yeah.
Was that a disappointment, or was it like, you know what, I'm gonna go show them that I still belong there, kind of thing?
Yeah, the work ethic definitely changed. I think at that point I realized that I wasn't going to go back. I was like 29 or 30 at that time. Realized I probably wasn't going to go back, and it shouldn't have been that way. But I definitely know that I kind of took the foot off of the gas, and my work ethic changed. And I had a couple down years after that, in regards to just, you know, the level I should have been playing at. And it took me probably 2 or 3 years to get back to being like, okay, here I'm back in the CFL for good now.
Yeah.
Let's get back to doing what you do and working to you know, win championships. And finally, at the end, we did that.
You were considered a lockdown corner. Now, so for me, like, I look at lockdown corners as guys, as a good game is when there's no action.
Right.
So how do you equate you not doing well? Like, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think probably not being as good a shape as I should have been in some injuries.
Right.
Just being, I mean, I don't think there was parts where I was getting lit up or anything like that. I was still handling my business, but I just was doing it as I was cruising by. I think I was talented enough that I could kind of cruise a little bit and still get away with it.
Yeah.
Which isn't right, but
Yeah.
I think I was let down and disappointed because I wasn't in NFL anymore, and I knew I should have been. And you know, the reality, I've told the story before, I signed a 2-year contract with the Chargers. I finished the 2-year contract, and they offered me an extension, which I turned down.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, I turned the extension down, and me and my agent decided to look for other opportunities for a larger deal somewhere else. And when we shopped around, nothing came up. So we went back to the Chargers and looked to take that original deal, and they said it was off the table.
Wow.
So at that point, I think I was frustrated, disappointed. You know, bad decision by myself and my team and my crew, and so I think I just.
Did you fire your agent?
He's a friend of mine, so we stayed. And he's been good to me most of my career. So
shout out to your agent.
Shout out to my agent.
You know,
yeah.
he got you down there.
He did.
You know, there was an offer. Obviously, you didn't take it.
And I could have taken it if I wanted to. So it's not all on him. But yeah, so I think that whole ordeal, I think it hit me hard. I think I was probably disappointed, depressed. It took me a while to kind of get back on my feet.
So you're back in the CFL now. You're playing. You're doing well. You're an all-star several times over. You know, how was that experience? What's the difference between playing in the NFL and the CFL now that you're fully landed in the CFL? Do you feel like they treat Canadians different?
Do you feel that way?
Oh, for 100%. 100%. But I always like to get other people's perspective because I'm just like, when I tried to be a ratio breaker.
Right.
And you definitely were kind of a ratio breaker because there weren't too many Canadian corners at that time.
Right.
It's changed. You were like the pioneer.
Just me and your boy Wayne Shaw.
Oh,
and,
big Shaw.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I would say that you're treated differently as a Canadian by some of the American players who don't think that you belong.
Right.
They think that you've been given a handout because of the ratio.
Right.
So for guys like us who had opportunities down south, who were good players up here, I think we knew that we were as good as any American. I knew for sure, and I used to get in a lot of beef with the American guys, and I learned as I got older that I wasn't gonna put up with any of their BS if they had something to say, because I knew I was as good or better than them. I don't care where I was from.
For sure.
So, and I wasn't afraid to say it. I think that that's the biggest beef that we have as Canadians in the CFL, is that a lot of the American guys don't necessarily respect us.
Yeah.
And I tell all the young bucks that I'm coaching and I'm around, you know, we're not second to anybody.
No.
So any anytime you have a chance, say it with your chest, and you're at these camps down south, wherever you're at.
Right.
Nowadays, as Canadians, we're as good as anybody, and not afraid to let people know.
No, man, and you had a swagger, and I remember you were like my OG coming in, because I used to look at you, I'm like, man, he doesn't move like the regular Canadian dudes who are in the change room playing euchre and cards and that kind of stuff. You were out there, you know what I'm saying? And so I remember you took me out one day, and you had the jag back then, and the curly hair flowing. I was just like, man, this is what's up. He's not the average Canadian dude. Because I remember telling my son, like, yo, listen, it doesn't matter where you're at right now. If they're in the same vicinity as you guys are in the same pocket fighting for the same goal, right? So your transition now, when did you realize it was done?
Yeah. It's funny. So as a cornerback, I talked about timing. You're either there to make a play or you're a step late.
That's right.
I remember laughing. I don't know if you'll know this name. I've told the story a few times, but a guy named Irv Smith, who was a OG, a potential Hall of Fame guy, great defensive back for Montreal. And he was like 34, 35 years old when I was a rookie.
Right.
And he would always be about a half a step late. And he'd always be doing this, shucks, almost.
Right.
And I remember me and the young rookies sitting in the back kind of laughing all the time because he would always be doing this, I'm just a step late. And then fast forward 10 years later, that was me.
Right.
And I knew at that time I was always just a step late at making a play. In my second or my 12th and 13th season, I was just always a step late. And as a defensive back, I saw the play. I knew the break to get there. And when I broke, I thought I would be there because I knew the timing of it and I knew what I saw, but I couldn't get there.
The fast twitch wasn't twitching.
No, and I was always just a step late. And at that point in time, I had to cheat to try to guess on routes, and then I'd get beat because I was cheating, and then I just knew at that point in time that I was done.
So did you walk away from the game, or did the game walk away from you?
The game walked away from me.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably would have played till I was 50 if I could have.
Right.
A quick story. Wally Buono, respects and shout out to Coach Buono, who, they told me after my 13th year I was going back for another season. And Coach Buono said, come, we're not sure what we want to do with you, if we want to re-sign you or not. He said, come back and run for us and see how you look in the spring.
Right.
So I was training my butt off every day at the facility, in there working out, and I was maybe going to move to free safety. I had gained about 10 pounds, trying to get a little bigger to play free safety. And Coach saw me in the weight room one day, and he brought me in his office. He said, I know you're supposed to work out for us in a month from now.
Right.
He's like, but out of respect for you and the veteran you have been for your whole career, he's like, I'm not going to do that to you. I don't want you to put yourself through that. The coaching staff, I think, has moved on.
Right.
And as much as you've done in this league and the guy that you are in this league, you don't need to be working out for anybody.
Yeah.
He's like, and I don't want to do that to you. And I respected that because he could have given me lip service and had me go run and work out and then them say, yeah, we're going to go in a different direction. He just said, no matter what you do in that workout, we're not re-signing you.
Yeah.
And I respect you enough to tell you that. And at that point, I packed up my stuff and walked out the locker room.
That's
and
a
knew
monster pill to swallow, man.
It is.
And where did you go after that?
Not one part of me wanted to call another team, wanted to look for other opportunities. I said, I finished my career in BC. We won a Grey Cup the year before. I already had some other business stuff on the go.
Right.
I had to walk away and I never looked back.
So those years between retirement and being an analyst that you are right now, what happened?
No football.
None.
Zero. There's a blank space in my head from 2012 to 2014. You could ask me anything that happened in the world of football, NFL, CFL, or other, and I can't tell you. Yeah. I completely walked away from the game because it hurt me.
Right.
It hurt me too much to watch it.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't look at it.
I always equate it to being, it's like you're with a girl that you love that just don't love you back.
Yeah.
Right. And you just got to move on, but you got to watch her date everybody else.
Right.
And that's the hard part.
Right. And the best way to and whether it's relationships or football, the best way to deal with that is to just not be around it and not put yourself in that situation. So.
And you're a natural storyteller, so I'm sure that was a great way for you to begin your new career,
Yeah.
How did that get started?
Yeah, James Cebulski, if you remember that name.
I know the name.
James is, was a friend of mine. Actually covered me. He worked for Sportsnet, for The Score, for TSN, and he's a legendary broadcaster around these parts. He was in Vancouver, and the CFL had asked him to do a podcast. And I was doing nothing in media. I wasn't a media guy. I had no interest in doing media. And the reason, as you would know, there's not a lot of jobs for guys like us than people that look like us.
That's right.
In sports media growing up.
Right.
So I saw the same four faces on the CFL on TSN panel for 20 years, and none of them reminded me of myself or acted like me.
Well, it was Jock Climby. We had Jock Climby.
There was Jock. Like I said, none of them acted like me.
Yeah, right.
Jock
Shout out to
is
Jock, though.
Jock's my guy.
Yeah.
But Jock is a articulate.
He's a lawyer too.
Quiet, soft-spoken lawyer.
Yeah.
And anyway, because there was no opportunities, I didn't want to pursue something that, as an athlete, if there's a job, you have a chance to win it.
Yeah.
In sports media, or in media in general, it's more someone else is deciding whether or not they want you, and there is no way to really quantify your success or lack thereof.
Right.
So anyway, I had nothing to do with sports media. James Cebulski, I had a facility services company in Vancouver. James Cebulski was asked by the CFL head office to do a podcast, and he's in Vancouver. And they said, "Is there anybody in Vancouver who you think likes to talk or would have some fun with?" And he right away
he said,
Chez
right
likes to talk. He's never done media, but he likes to talk. So he called me, and we had fun with it.
Yeah.
And then the more fun I had with it, I said, "Hey, this might be something that we could do."
Right.
And
it just took off.
And then
from
I
there.
worked at the CFL office for a bit, and then TSN reached out, and kind of here we are now.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you are such an inspiration. You won't even know this, but you are an inspiration for a whole new generation of athletes, broadcasters that, like you said, look like us.
Yeah.
Young black
Yes.
kids who are just trying to find themselves and trying to figure out what they're going to do maybe after the sport is finished or even before.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's a great honor to have you here and to be able to
Respect,
say,
my man.
you know what I mean?
Respect.
Just to be out there and say, listen, you can do it too. Now, if you were to tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Oh gosh, tell my younger self. Probably 2 ears, 1 mouth. Talk less, listen more.
2 ears, 1 mouth, talk less, listen more. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Those are bars. I like that, as the kids would say. I like that a lot, man. So in essence, I think your evolution has really shown that, it's possible. You go from JUCO, North Delta, BC, to JUCO, to D1, to CFL, to the NFL, and back to the CFL, and then you get told by your coach that, it's not going to happen for you, but you're able to say, you know what, I'm going to walk away, with my head held high. You had, 13 great years, and now you have a great career as an analyst. So as an analyst, are you a fan? Are you more of a fan of football now?
Well, in my off time, I watch a movie more than I watch football. But that's because all day we're watching football and grinding. But no, I'm a fan. I'm become a Bills fan. Okay. That's my team, Bills and Seahawks, I guess.
Nice. All right. So Chez, Super Bowl picks. Who you got?
The Bills could have beat Tampa Bay last year if they played in the Super Bowl, and they got better. So I like the Bills out of the AFC, and I like Trey Lance and the Niners. I think if Trey Lance gets in there, the Niners have a good overall team. I like the Niners in the NFC right
Incredible.
now.
Real quick, Grey Cup winner.
Oh, gosh, Saskatchewan Roughriders right now. They look good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to go with Montreal.
Yeah, no doubt.
Go with Montreal.
No doubt.
But Chez, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I know it was tough getting our schedules connected and everything, but you finally did. I appreciate you, brother. All right, good to see you. All the best to you in the future. This is the Players Corner with Karim Grant. We'll see you again next time. Until then, stay blessed.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.